The Appian Way, Rome's most prestigious road. 11 miles of marble and conquest. Dawn 71 BCE. You'd expect soldiers, merchants. The rhythm of empire waking up. Instead there are crosses, 6,000 of them. The smell hits first, blood, fresh enough that the morning dew hasn't washed it away yet. Then the sound, shallow breathing, multiplied by thousands. Crows circling, waiting. A Roman merchant walks past, adjusting his toga, doesn't look up. A mother pulls her child closer to the road's edge, away from the bodies. Not out of horror, out of convenience. Children play near the base of a cross like it's a tree. These aren't criminals hanging here, not traitors. Slaves, men who dared to dream of freedom, who followed a gladiator named Spartacus and nearly brought Rome to its knees. This isn't execution. Execution would have been mercy. This is a performance. 6,000 people dying slowly, deliberately, positioned along the empire's most travelled road, so everyone would see, so no one could forget. Resist Rome, and we won't just kill you. We'll make your death a monument to our power. But here's what should haunt you. This wasn't Rome's cruelest humiliation. It wasn't even in the top 10. What Rome did to individuals, with precision, with planning, with legal justification, that's where the real horror lives. The civilization that gave us law, order, roads, aqueducts, the foundation of what we call civilization itself. They also built the most sophisticated machinery of public degradation the ancient world ever saw, and they documented it. Proudly, carefully, like engineers documenting a bridge. In this story, you'll meet 3 people Rome decided to destroy, not their bodies. That would be too quick, their humanity. And you'll discover why the empire believed this wasn't cruelty, but art. First, understand what Rome was, not the Hollywood version, the real thing. 50 million people under Roman control, 3 continents. Britain to Mesopotamia. 400 amphitheaters built specifically for public spectacles. One empire maintained by relatively few legions. How do you control 50 million people without modern technology, without surveillance, without instant communication? Rome found an answer: psychological warfare, and they perfected it. They didn't just build roads and aqueducts, they built a system. Legal frameworks defining who could be humiliated, how and why. Economic incentives, humiliation was profitable. Vendors, performers, sponsors, all profited from public degradation. 4 centuries of conditioning Romans to see this as entertainment, as civic duty, and they documented everything. Legal codes, personal letters, histories. Roman intellectuals debated this. Cicero argued that public humiliation created social bonds through shared witnessing. Seneca, Stoic philosopher, tutor to emperors, wrote treatises on why seeing degradation made citizens more obedient. They weren't ashamed. They were proud of this innovation. You've met 3 souls trapped in Rome's machinery. Perpetua, a young mother who refused to deny her faith. Vercingetorix, a warrior king who united Gaul against Caesar. Sejanus, Rome's most powerful man, before one afternoon destroyed everything. 3 people, 3 different crimes in Roman eyes. One shared fate, systematic, public, calculated humiliation, designed to break them so completely that their destruction would echo for generations. What you're about to witness happened to real people whose names survived 2,000 years. Their suffering was documented not as tragedy, but as policy success. If this moment moves you, if you believe these voices deserve to be heard, hit that like button. It tells the algorithm that history's darkest truths matter more than easy entertainment. And if you think humanity is worth remembering, subscribe to Crimson Historians. We tell the stories that should never be forgotten. Stay with their stories. They deserve that much. Carthage, North Africa, 203 CE. Vibia Perpetua, age 22, married, nursing a newborn son, daughter of a wealthy Roman official. Everything to lose. She was Christian. In 203, that was treason. Not because of what Christians believed, but because they refused to perform a simple ritual. Burn incense to the emperor's image, 5 seconds. Acknowledgement of Roman authority, that's all. Perpetua was arrested with several other Christians. For months, authorities offered her the same deal. Perform the ritual, go home to your baby, refuse, and face the arena. We know what happened in that prison because Perpetua wrote it down. Her diary survived, one of the earliest pieces of Christian literature written by a woman. She describes her father visiting. He kissed her hands, called her daughter, then lady, trying every form of appeal. He said, "Have pity on my grey hairs. Have pity on your infant son who cannot live without you." And she writes, "I grieved for my father because he alone of all my family would not rejoice at my martyrdom. Guards brought her baby to the prison, let her nurse him, then took him away, over and over. Each visit, just perform the ritual, hold your son forever. Each refusal, you're choosing death over your child. What kind of mother are you?" Roman sources describe what they did next. They didn't torture her physically. That would create sympathy. Instead, they broke her through her identity as a mother. The night before her execution, Perpetua wrote one final entry. She describes a vision of climbing a bronze ladder lined with swords, reaching paradise. Then she writes, "And I awoke, and I understood that I would not be fighting with beasts, but with the devil himself." She was wrong. She would be fighting with something worse than the devil. Rome's machinery of humiliation, refined over centuries to break people in front of crowds. Gaul, modern France, 52 BCE. Vercingetorix. His name meant Great King of Warriors, age 30, chief of the Arverni tribe. The man who did the impossible, united dozens of Gallic tribes against Rome. For the first time in decades, Rome faced a unified enemy in Gaul. Vercingetorix wasn't just brave, he was brilliant. Guerrilla tactics, scorched earth. He studied Roman methods and used them against Julius Caesar himself. He almost won. At the Battle of Gergovia, he handed Caesar one of his worst defeats. For a moment, Gaul's independence seemed possible. Then came Alesia. Caesar surrounded Vercingetorix's army. Vercingetorix surrounded Caesar. 2 rings of siege works. Winner takes all. When starvation set in, Vercingetorix did something extraordinary. He rode out of the fortress alone, in full ceremonial armor, and surrendered himself to Caesar to save his people. Caesar's own words describe it. The leader of the Gauls, having put on his most beautiful armor and decorated his horse, rode through the Roman camp and made a circuit around the tribunal where I was seated. Then, stripping off his armor, he sat down at my feet and remained motionless until he was handed over to guards. Caesar promised Vercingetorix's warriors mercy if their king surrendered. The warriors went free, Vercingetorix did not. Caesar kept him alive, not for negotiation, not for information, for something else. Because Caesar knew he would return to Rome someday for his triumph, and a triumph needed the right prop. Vercingetorix spent 6 years in Rome's Tullianum prison, underground, darkness, alone. Why did Caesar wait so long? The answer is in Roman strategic thinking. Anticipation amplifies impact. For 6 years, Romans heard stories of the Gallic king in chains beneath the city. His legend grew. His upcoming humiliation became the most anticipated spectacle in Rome. In 46 BCE, Caesar finally scheduled his triumph. Vercingetorix would be the centerpiece, not executed quickly, not imprisoned forever, displayed, paraded, humiliated, then only at the end killed. The Romans had refined triumph processions over centuries. They knew exactly how to break a king in front of a crowd. March 7th, 203 CE, Carthage Amphitheater, games celebrating the emperor's birthday. Perpetua and Felicity, her fellow martyr, a slave, are brought into the arena dressed as priestesses of Ceres, a pagan goddess they rejected, The humiliation is immediate, forced to wear the symbols of the religion they'd been imprisoned for refusing. Even the crowd objects, the crowd accustomed to blood objects. The Roman historian noted, the mob shouted against it, and they were brought out in simple tunics. Making them wear pagan robes was too cruel even for Romans used to watching executions. They release a wild cow into the arena, not a lion. That would be too quick, too masculine, too honorable. A cow, female animal for female victims. The symbolism is deliberate. The cow charges Perpetua first, gores her, throws her into the air. She hits the ground hard. The source describes what happens next. She got up and, seeing Felicity crushed, went to her and lifted her up. They stood together, even bleeding, even terrified. Perpetua's first instinct is to help her friend. Rome wanted to break her. Instead, she shows them something they don't have a protocol for. Love stronger than fear. The cow doesn't kill them fast enough. Roman protocol takes over. They're taken to the side gate where a gladiator will finish them with a sword, a quick death. Except the gladiator is young, inexperienced. His first strike hits Perpetua in the ribs, but doesn't kill her. The source records that Perpetua guided her sword to her throat herself. Even in death, she refuses to let Rome control her completely. 22 years old, a mother, her diary ended with her vision of paradise. Her life ended guiding a sword to her own throat because a gladiator's hand was shaking too much to finish the job. September 46, BCE, the triumph of Julius Caesar. The most elaborate in Roman history. 3 miles through Rome, past the Senate, through the Forum, ending at the Temple of Jupiter, hundreds of thousands watching. The largest crowd ever assembled in the ancient world. The procession moves in order. First, displays of captured Gallic wealth. Second, float showing Caesar's victories. Third, sacred animals for sacrifice. Fourth, the prisoners. Vercingetorix walks in chains. Not the dignified warrior who surrendered 6 years ago. His head is shaved. Mark of a slave, he wears rags. But sources note something disturbing. Despite 6 years in darkness, despite deliberate starvation to weaken him, he walks upright. Here's where Rome's sophistication shows. They don't just parade him once through the city, they stop the procession at key locations. The Senate, where he can see Rome's power. The Forum, where thousands can mock him up close. Caesar's platform, where he stands while Caesar gives a speech about him, in front of him. This man united Gaul against Rome. This man nearly defeated our legions, but he stands here now, broken, because no one can resist Rome's destiny. Vercingetorix has to listen to his own defeat being celebrated, has to hear his people's liberation described as rebellion, has to stand silent while Caesar rewrites their story. The procession reaches its endpoint. For most prisoners, this means return to cells. For the principal captive of a triumph, it means something else. He's led to the Tullianum, the same prison where he spent 6 years, down stone steps, into the underground chamber. The Tullianum isn't for imprisonment, it's an execution chamber. Strangulation, slow, manual, while crowds above celebrate Caesar's victory at the Temple of Jupiter. Roman protocol requires the triumph's principal captive to die during the celebration feast. So while Caesar toasts his victory, Vercingetorix dies in darkness. His death timed to coincide with the evening's entertainment. No burial, no monument, no record of his body's disposal. The king who united Gaul dies as Rome's trophy. Used, displayed, discarded. If stories like this are left to die in forgotten archives, history itself becomes the next casualty. These weren't nameless victims, they were people, subscribed to keep their memory alive. Because what Rome did to them should never happen in silence. Perpetua's diary became one of Christianity's most powerful early texts. Augustine of Hippo cited it. Medieval artists painted her. But here's what we often forget: her infant son. Roman sources don't record what happened to him, a nursing infant whose mother chose faith over his life.